Top of a Thursday evening, everybody. Christopher McDonald with you as we've got a wonderful, wonderful guest with us tonight. So grateful to have my dear friend Tony, the man, Branco with us, and comicallyincorrect.com. I even got his website right. He's probably falling out on the floor and needing CPR on that one. But buddy, it's good to see you. And I was joking with him. We're going to get him on Zoom next week. We're going to have him in 2 weeks when we get back from Long Island and have him on a Zoom interview. But we got him on the phone tonight. And I told him I had a face for radio. And what did you tell me that you have? You said something, and I've done forgot it about writing cartoons. Forrest, what did you say?
Well, I was saying that I have the perfect voice and speaking skills for drawing cartoons.
A perfect voice for drawing cartoons. Now, the absolute best cartoon that he drew was one 2 years ago when he did my dumb foolery, and I've been trying to find it. I'm on a laptop tonight, so but I've got to pull that back out. That is still the absolute of all the awards he's won. He's never did a better cartoon than that, and even got the McDonald face as good as anybody I've ever seen in my life do it. But it's good to see you tonight, man. I tell you, it's been I hadn't talked to you, but I think maybe once since the election, and we have seen the cabinet come, Tony, into play here. I just want to ask you, before we get into some specific things going on, we're going to show some folks your cartoons tonight. But what is your thoughts on his cabinet so far that has sort of coalesced over the last 130, 140 days? One thing I've noticed is there's been no leaks. It seems that he's got a much more loyal bunch than he did the first time. It's refreshing to see people actually working with him and not against him, even though I'm sure there may be some backroom stuff we don't know about. But I give him an A+. I mean, I know there's some impatience by many of us with the Justice Department and some things, and I still believe Epstein killed himself, so I'll leave that alone. We'll discuss that in a minute. But other than that one, what is your thoughts on his cabinet tonight?
Well, the one I was worried about the most was Rubio.
Yeah.
But yet he seems to be taking a very strong turn towards MAGA. And it seems like they're all of them are on the same page as far as direction goes. They all want the same thing, and they're all trying to figure out how to get there. And I don't think they're as loyal to Trump as much as they are loyal to MAGA and the base. And Trump is definitely MAGA. So I think they're all on the same, they're loyal to the same cause, which is very, very refreshing. See, that's what the Democrats have had for a long time, where we don't see it with the Republicans. The Republicans are like out for whatever their self-interest is, or their constituents, or their mega donors. And the Democrats seem to always be goose steppers, lockstep on the same direction. And we just can't get the Republicans together. But his cabinet, I think they're all together on the same page, same direction.
Yeah, I'm with you, absolutely with you tonight, and I couldn't have said that better. You know, it's funny, I was more not really concerned, but I was wondering how RFK Jr. was going to fit into this, because, you know, his wife and him are been rabid Democrats, and they come from the Maria Kennedy side of the family, and his family's pretty much disowned him. And I have to tell you, I've been pleasantly surprised with him. I've been pleasantly surprised with Tulsi Gabbard. And Trump has showed great trust in them, and it's paid off. Again, you know, our government's never going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. I told people early on that I heard a lot of cackling and a lot of complaining. I mean, it wasn't even 30 days in, people were complaining, and I'm like, guys, for goodness sake, we just came through 4 years of a brain dead vegetable running the country, and we're not even sure who was running the country. Still, at this point, we don't even know who is running the country. And it might be a good thing we don't look a gift horse in the mouth and thank God and get on the ground and kiss the ground that we walk on and say our prayers 6 times a day, thanking God that we got Trump now instead of what we had, you know. And I think they've done a pretty good job myself.
Yeah, I think he is. You know, like, we don't know who was running the country. We have a hunch that, for some reason, I'm hearing Elizabeth Warren's had her sticky fingers on that auto pen. I'm just hearing that from a few different sources. But basically, it was Obama leftovers. You had Susan Rice involved. You had a lot of people in the back, behind the scenes, orchestrating. Because remember when I think it was Johnson asked him, well, you signed this bill. He said, no, I didn't. I wouldn't sign something like that. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he knew what he was signing. I don't even think that they presented him with a bill. I don't think they presented him with anything. they just went ahead and just started operating that auto pen for willy-nilly pardons, different executive orders. And these people are communists. They're Marxists. They're globalists. They hate America and the way its system that we've grown to know and love over the years, or our idea of America. And they are the antithesis of all of that. They hate it. They're doing everything they can, and then you have all these judges pouring in out of the woodworks, low-level judges, able to try to thwart anything that Trump does, and it's all tied together. You know, it's their last vestige, it's their last weapon that they can use against him.
I'm glad you brought the courts up. I'm putting up two of your fairly recent cartoons. One has the communist sickle that says judicial tyranny on it. Then you've got a judge with a king's hat on that says Trump is not a king, and the judge is acting like a king. Peter Ducey today, I thought, had the line of the year. He asked Caroline Leavitt, he said, if President Trump would have known these courts were doing so much damage to his agenda, he could have ran for judge instead of president. He could have done a lot more as a judge than he's doing as a president today. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, for sure. You know, maybe he should appoint himself as a judge. I don't know, but it is ridiculous. It's all they have, and they're going to do whatever they can to just try to destroy his directives and his agenda. But we have to fight, and everybody is fighting. And I still give out some hope for SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, and hopefully when it all comes out. Now, I believe, and this is my own opinion here, nobody gave it to me, but I believe they're trying to force him into suspending habeas corpus. And the reason they want to do that is so that they can call him a dictator.
That's correct.
They've been calling him a dictator for 10, 15 years. So now, if they can thwart his agenda enough and keep trying to stop him, he's going to be forced to use habeas corpus to protect our country and to secure our borders and to get these people out that don't belong.
I think that is an excellent point, and I've been concerned hearing that from Stephen Miller a little bit, that that's what they were planning to do, Tony, and I think that's exactly what they don't need to do, even though it may have to come to that, and I could not agree more with that, because he's walking a fine line as it is, because there is this element in the country that is calling him lawless, calling him the king, calling him Hitler. Same thing they did before these Democrats lost all this power. I want to talk with you about something, though, because I think you've nailed it here on this cartoon, and I think some of the problem, we talked about it a little bit before we came on the air, you've got a mega dump truck with two big stones in it, and it's called Trump. And you've got the cartoon that says got stones, and then you've got a magnifying glass with the GOP majority. This is why it's comically incorrect, Branco. This is why we love you, man. This is why you are an all-star on the McFiles Thursday night. You are an all-star in the McFile Hall of Fame. You are like number one on the guest list, man, because of stuff like this. And I busted out laughing when I saw this, but it's the truth, man. I mean, you have to get a magnifying glass to see the stones. If the GOP majority, Tony, would start acting like it, I think Trump could, there you tell what this man could do. Again, same thing that happened the first time around, if the Republicans would just work with him.
Mm-hmm. Look at the damage that the Democrats with Biden. I mean, just the damage alone, the dismantling of our country in so many ways with all the illegal immigration. Just imagine what he could do, what Trump could do if he had the Republicans behind him. It wouldn't take this long. This thing should have been passed. And I understand there's some really hardcore Republicans in there that really are concerned about the deficit, and they should be. And so I'm just hoping that they can work that out and get it to where there's some decent real cuts, especially combining it with the DOGE. Looking at it from what the DOGE has been able to do, and really make some really strong cuts, because we definitely need them, or we're going to sink. And there are some Republicans that say we're at a pivot right now. Any more in the next couple of years, we're going to be sunk. And nobody's going to loan us money. Nobody's going to buy our bonds. We're in trouble. And I can't believe that there aren't enough Republicans. I don't think the Democrats care, because they don't care if we sink. They don't. I mean, it's like Solomon and the baby, cutting the baby in half. They don't care if the baby's cut in half. But the Republicans do. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And I just hope that they can come to some kind of agreement. I know that the cuts are coming. I know that down the road. But you got to convince these hardcore deficit hawks that are willing to make those cuts.
But don't you believe, like I do, and maybe I'm not a little naive about this, but I do not believe Trump, as the businessman that he is, and Trump, I saw Johnson on Mark Levin's program, or at least a clip of it, and he basically says that there is a balanced budget, a clause in this big, beautiful bill, and that the House version of this bill is seeking to balance the budget. And when I see people like Johnson, not Speaker Johnson, but Ron Johnson from Wisconsin out there saying the sky's going to fall in, I don't feel, I cannot bring myself to believe that Trump is not aware of the short-term pain that this may cause, but he also sees the potential that if this is done and tax revenues come in, Tony, it happened the first time. The tax bill got cut and the economy went into orbit. We were having 70-year highs, man, 70-year marks of things that we had never seen in our economy because people had more money to spend. And I think that if the Republicans would just take a freaking chill pill and get off their mama's something and start acting like a bunch of men instead of a bunch of babies and women. Excuse me, ladies, but I'm serious. It's just like act your age, suck it up, get behind it, and let it do its work. You can always adjust this thing and pass bills or pass laws to adjust things if they're not working. That's why we've got Congress. You can pass bills to fix it.
Yes, and I agree with you. I'm just giving you their perspective, and now they have been loosey in the football for a lot of years on things like this. And I know that Trump knows that he's going to cut the deficit down. He's going to raise lower taxes, and the economy's going to boom, and it's going to take care of a lot of the deficit, bring it way down. But where some of these Republicans are coming from is that it's loosey in the football. Here we have the football. This is what's going to happen. Blah blah blah. But but Trump and his cabinet are betting on what's to come down the road, and these Republicans aren't so sure everything's going to happen. They've had the football pulled out from under them before, and I think that's where Johnson is coming from.
Yeah,
he wants more guarantees. And I don't know how you guarantee something that's supposed to happen in the future. I believe it'll happen. I believe what he's got going with the tariffs and what he's got going with all of his agenda and his programs and his direction, I think it's going to happen. It's happening now. So I just think if he could find a way to guarantee them a way that it's going in that direction and that they can hold on to it. I don't think the Republicans have a choice. What's the alternative?
They don't.
To let the taxes zoom back up, and to me, there is no choice. Just my personal.
No, I'm with you, but we're on the same, not on the same page. We're on the same sentence. We're on the same line, and again, I know that it's easy to go on Fox News and go on NBC and talk big, and he was saying, I don't care if President Trump don't like this or not, I could care less. Well, he better start caring, because it's the American people that are going to get hurt. I said something on my radio show today, and I'm so sick of hearing the term "the American people" come out of the mouth of politicians. And the right does it, the left does it, media does it, and I hear all this crap sometimes, and they say, we're up here fighting for the American people, and we're about doing the business of the American people. I heard Jean-Pierre Perrine say that ad nauseum every single day, that Joe Biden is busy working for the American people. When we find out Joe Biden wasn't even there, and Joe Biden don't even know who the American people are. And I don't mean that to be mean, but it's the truth, Tony. And then these Republicans do the same thing. I hear Johnson, well, we're fighting for the future of the American people. They don't care about the future of the American people, Tony. They don't care about it. They care about themselves.
All about themselves. But here's where the American people spoke. Majority of the American people knew what Trump wanted to do. He spoke of it. Every rally about the deficits, about tariffs, about taxes, everything that he said he's going to do from the ballot when they voted for him. And a majority of the people, all the swing states. So right there is the American people. That is the American people. So say that I'm doing this for the American people. Trump is doing for the American people because they voted for him based on those promises.
Yes, and I've got your cartoon up, The Art of Winning and the Art of Losing. And again, another award-winning Tony Branco cartoon, In Men and Women's Sports, Secure Borders, NDAI, Prosecute Criminals, China-UK Trade Deals, High Tariffs, Mass Deportation, and Ending Wars. But The Art of Losing is just the opposite of that. Men and women's sports, open borders, diversity, release criminals, surrender to China, bow to the EU, mass invasion, and endless wars. Pretty much a stark contrast between two parties right now, isn't it?
Absolutely. They have no focus. They don't know what to do. I mean, all they can do, all the Democrats can do right now is whatever Trump wants, they want they're jumping to the opposite, hoping it gain some kind of traction. It's not gaining traction. In fact, the people on the Democrat side, Democrat voters, he jumped up 3 points yesterday with Democrat voters, Trump's approval rating.
Yes.
So whatever they're doing, I think they're beside themselves. They can't agree with what Trump's doing, so they're fighting against it, but they don't know why they're fighting against it. Trump finds a cure for cancer. Oh, we can't have that. You know what it'll do to the medical industry?
I know.
The kind of attitude they have.
Well, that's the Democrat Party. What is your, if you had to grade A to F or whatever, what do you believe the Attorney General Patel and Bongino are doing? Our FBI head, FBI Executive Director, Pam Bondi with Attorney General. And I think Judge Janine is going to turn out to be a great pick for the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. We're going to, everything's going to wait and see. But so far, what's your thoughts on how the Justice Department's being handled now?
Well, I don't think it's report card time yet. You know how we're not at the end of the semester. The semester has, some schools have three semesters, some have two. But right now, I think it's hard to say. I know they're trying. I feel in my bones that they're trying. I trust Bongino and Cash full-heartedly. And if they're saying something, it's kind of a wait-and-see game. You do not want an investigation just to slap some stuff together and throw it out there. You better have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Everything. It has to be stellar in order for it to stick. And I think that's what they're doing. Now, a Democrat can do that. Democrat DOJ, Democrat FBI, they can just throw things out there and accuse people and throw them in lawfare and take them to court. But a Republican, because of the media and how they view things, they need to have it cinched up tight. And I think that's what they're doing. Do you believe
Bongino this morning when he said that they got video evidence that Epstein hung himself?
There's something really wrong there. Here's what I believe about that. I believe Bongino, from what he's seen, can't prove anything.
Okay.
And if you can't prove it, you can't do it. So I think that's where they're at. He can't prove it. There's nothing.
That's a good point.
That says somebody killed Epstein. So far, they got to go along with what the evidence is.
Well, it's word salad, because he said, well, we saw him in the last video we saw, he was alone in his cell, and I don't think anybody's ever disputed that. What we're concerned about, there was about a 15-minute, the cell phone, the cell cameras went out for 15 minutes, and the two guards were they just walked off their post for 15 minutes. The 15 minutes that he got supposedly put a freaking gurney on the tower or the ceiling and hung himself. Nobody saw that. And I don't know when he says we got video evidence of it. I mean, short of him saying, okay, I saw him put the sheet and put it around his neck. I mean, he didn't say that. All he said was he was alone in his cell. The last thing we saw. I said, well, of course he was alone, Dan.
Yeah. Again, I think there's something very suspicious about it, and I don't know what to conclude with that. So I guess I'm not going to conclude anything other than have to, go along with what the legalities of it are, what the legal mechanisms are. And again, if somebody kills their wife and there's no proof that he killed her, he's innocent.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I guess so, but you got to admit it. It's a little funny that we're fascinated with this stuff 6 years after the fact. I do want to ask you a more serious question, though. This Epstein list, do you believe they actually have a list any longer, or do you think it's all been destroyed by the powers that be?
I think it's somewhere, with today's digital world, and I think it's somewhere. They should send DOGE in to find it.
Yeah.
It's somewhere. There is a possibility that here's one of my thoughts, and I don't know how true it is. It may not be true at all. Trump is trying to negotiate with people working in his direction, and he needs people that might be on that list. That's
very true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because I don't care. I don't care how much they have a plan doing what his directions are. If they're on that list, it needs to come out.
I'll agree.
Let it sort out. I don't care if I like the politician and he's on that list as doing something, or photos of him doing something. He needs to go. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Some other stories that has been sort of percolating in the news the last few weeks. I want to get your take on this Jake Tapper thing, where the media and it just seems like even some of these far left-wing personalities have all of a sudden come to Jesus, and they're decrying the cover-up. By the way, I'm putting up your AOC Bernie 2028 Make America Suck Again hat. I think we're gonna have to do a T-shirt on that one, Branco. This is why he's an award-winning cartoonist, folks. That's why, man, we got royalty on this show tonight. That's massive stuff. But speaking of losers and speaking of sucking, the Crap News Network, who's only garnered, can you believe that Monday night they only had 405,000 viewers on the network, brother? That's all day long. Now, brother, that's the bottom. I mean, they didn't even have 1 million people watching them. And Jake Tapper's out there now. This book has gone to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. And he's saying then that Biden's decline was a right-wing conspiracy, being trashy and being a scumbag to Laura Trump. And now, to sell a book, he's saying, well, the White House and the media covered his decline up. And it's almost like the Democrats are trying to be chameleons and change their stripes to get us to believe that if they get back in power, that they've learned their lessons and they won't do this to us again. And I call bullshit on that, because I don't believe I saw a comment already that we don't trust politicians. No, we don't trust politicians, and we don't trust media.
types at all. No, because they're not there for news. They're there to. I don't know who did it. I wish I had thought. Has laying on the floor and turning over the speech impediment. Your phone is breaking up, Tony, just a little bit. Let me get you to repeat that for me, buddy. Okay. Can you hear me now? I can hear you now, yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw a cartoon the other day, and it wasn't me, but I wish I had thought of it. It has Biden laying on the floor, and it has Jake Tapper standing over him saying, it's a speech impediment. I want to give kudos to somebody because that was a great cartoon. But anyway, Tapper is, I don't know what he's trying to do there as far as, I think he's just trying to sell a book. They got caught with their pants down, and now they're trying to recover. And then they're pretending like they had nothing to do with the cover-up. Now, these people have CNN had deep inside information into that White House. They're buddies with them, half of them probably incestuously married to each other. I don't know. But they had all the information he needed to draw a conclusion as to Joe Biden's mental decline. And then he has the nerve to, get on with what's the Trump daughter?
Laura. Well, the daughter-in-law, Laura Trump.
Yeah, Laura Trump, and tell her that it's a conspiracy theory that you're not a medical, you don't have a medical degree to diagnose his mental decline. He has a speech impediment and all this stuff, and they knew it. He knew at the time. Same with Morning Joe. He got up and said, "This is the best Biden ever." And this is all relatively within a short period of time. And now they're all kind of scrambling to try to get some kind of credibility. And it's not working. He may sell a lot of books, but I don't know why somebody would buy a book from that guy. He's a liar, and he knows he's a liar. He had, he's been on some interviews he's been hit pretty hard. All about that. So. Well,
they said that his show the last week has had a 10-year low, that the audience he had over the last 5 days, he had not seen ratings like that in 10 years on his network. I think CNN's about to be gone. Look, you can't survive, not in this age, with a 405,000 viewership. Look, McFiles, I know we're not the big time potatoes, man, but come on. I mean, we can get at least a couple hundred folks around podcast tonight. CNN, you had that out, and that's McFile level viewership. That's CNN, man. I mean, come on.
There's podcasts out there. Megyn Kelly, who had Jake Tapper on. Megyn Kelly. There's the War Room. There's the Vince, the old Bongino show.
Yeah.
All of these are out doing CNN. That should tell them something.
Well, it's not, because if you look at that panel where Scott Jenkins is on, Tony, these liberal voices over there, they're just as vile as they were before. They just hide it a little bit differently. They've gotten their butts kicked, and look, there's so many videos. I don't know if these people forget that there's the internet and people have downloaded clips of them, and this stuff, sort of the social media footprint stays out there. But, I mean, to see the hypocrisy, what these people are saying now compared to what they just said, 2 years ago? I mean, and it's funny, I saw a thing today, and I think I downloaded it, maybe I didn't, but it was basically a compilation of where they were telling people in the first term of Trump that they needed to bring a medical doctor into the White House to test him for dementia, to test him for Alzheimer's, to test him for mental instability. And they wanted to put a 25th Amendment. These were media types saying this. And all of a sudden now, they had no problem saying that about Trump, but all of a sudden they were silent for 4 years about Biden's decline. And again, like you said, calling us people that saw it as a bunch of kooks. And now they've gotten their hands in the cookie jar. It's an explosion, man. It's a bomb. It's a bomb that went off.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just a buildup of multiple lies. The 51 intelligence agents that said it was Russia collusion, Russia disinformation on the Hunter laptop. Also, the other lie about there's nobody coming across the border. They said that's just a Republican or conservative mega conspiracy. You go down the list, the lies with COVID, the lies with... I mean, I could spend your whole program talking about different lies that the media has been culpable in pushing out there, and how many conspiracy theories have come true for MAGA or for the conservative side.
Elon Musk stepped aside today, and of course the DOGE effort will continue, but he's no longer an official member of the Trump administration. Do you see him with any kind of nightmare scenario going back to the Democrat Party, or do you think that what they did to him through this pretty much sealed the deal that he'll be writing checks in 2026 and 2028 with a red pen?
I don't think Elon sees any other choice. He now knows just how corrupt and evil the Democrat Party are. And I'm not talking evil from a religious point of view, just totally evil as far as how our country is going to move forward. He knows that their propensity to silence people, lawfare. He's been, and they're violent too.
Yes.
A lot of these Tesla assaults and burning up Tesla dealerships and scratching cars, it's all motivated from the left. So I don't think he looks at it like he has a choice. But I don't think he's leaving totally, with negative feelings. I think there's some aspects of it. He would like to see, the only thing negative I've heard from him is that he would like to see more of the DOGE cuts in the bill. But again, we've talked about that earlier. I think those are coming. We just got to get this going, and then well, there's another word for reconciling this later on. So
right.
So I don't think it's a totally negative thing. I don't know how that'll play out.
Well, it's clear that I think him and Donald Trump bonded through this little period of time, and I think Trump's got a friend because that could have went either way. Musk could have come out and been campaigning for Kamala Harris. I mean, because he's campaign, he voted for Obama, man. And, look, he's never hid his fact that he's a Dem, but for him to come out and support Trump was, I think, an act of God. And I think that, we're very fortunate what he's done. And he has exposed a lot of waste and fraud, Tony, that would have never been exposed without him. I mean, the Republicans wouldn't have done it because the Republicans are just as guilty of it as the Dems are.
And a lot of it, too. And I think a big eye-opener for Elon was buying Twitter and then getting involved in what was involved with that as far as the deep state and Biden and the FBI and silencing conservatives. I think he'll always have he'll always go down in the history as being a big part of saving our republic.
I totally agree with that. A couple of quick things here. Do you believe Comey's story that he did not know? Do you think that he was the one that set that shell sign of 8647 in play? And Patel was crucifying him today on Brett Berry last night, I should say. And he said, we've had to literally pull agents off other cases because these copycats, they're going all over the country. People are doing it. People are threatening President Trump online now, thanks to Jim Comey. I know they were probably doing it before, but it put gasoline on an already bad fire. Jim Comey needs to be in jail, Tony. A lot of other bad actors, but he needs to be the first.
There's so many. Clapper, all of them. Brennan, I'd love to see him marched and dressed in orange, handcuffed, and set in prison, and he should be. I hope they find some really good stuff on that guy because you know what's there. But I have a slightly different take on the 86-47 thing. I played in bars. I've been a musician for a lot of years. I just kind of retired about 10 years ago from playing, musician and touring and stuff. But I have a slightly different take on that. One of the things bartender would say if somebody was supposed to leave, or they got too out of hand, they would 86 him out of the bar. So 86 him out, that is kind of what the predominant description of that saying is. Now, it takes on a different meaning when you're talking about a president who's in office, and other people have referred to that as getting rid of him violently. And here's the other thing about Comey. He should know better. That's baby stuff. That's high school. That's what an immature imbecile he was to post that up there as he's supposed to. That wasn't dignified at all. And for him to do that, knowing that probably some people would take it as an assassination or some other means to get him out, that should have crossed his mind before he posted it. And I'm sure it did. And he did it anyway.
He did it anyway. That is so true. This judicial tyranny has bothered me a great deal. But one of the things that is bothering me even more is the judges that are trying to keep these dangerous gang members, Tony, the drug dealers, the fentanyl pushers, the rapists, the murderers, the child traffickers, the pedophiles. I mean, you've got judges literally telling planes to turn around and come back, bringing these people back to the country. And then you've got these college campuses that are going full-blown anti-Semite, and this tragedy of these kids that happened a week ago last night that got slaughtered in cold blood outside of D.C. At that museum. And college campuses they've got blood on their hands with a lot of this violence right now. And then you've got judges telling Trump you can't keep foreigners out and so forth. Where does this stop? Where does this stop? And is there a remedy in your mind? I think Congress is going to have to play a role in this. But, you said you hold out hope for the Supreme Court. Do you have confidence that we're going to have some sort of a check on this? Because it just seems like every day somebody's stepping up and blocking something Trump's doing.
Mm-hmm. I think that the Democrats are on the wrong side of every issue because they don't know where to stand. They don't. And I mentioned this earlier, that the only thing they know to do is to fight through their radical judges, to fight on the street. They've been calling for violence in the streets, some of these Democrats, and I don't know where it ends. I think, and I said this about a year ago too, and I referred to it. I kind of believe that we're marching towards some sort of civil war, because if you have one side who wants to destroy the country and totally dissolve it into something that is not our country anymore, has nothing to do with the Constitution, has nothing to do with freedom or any of the Bill of Rights or anything like that, dismantle it, destroy it. If you have that side, and then you have the side that wants to save it, where's the middle ground in that? You want to half destroy the country, so we come your way so you can destroy half the country. But here's the thing: even when we compromise, that is never enough. Compromise is not the idea for these people. If you compromise with them, they just keep coming. They never stop. Compromises should be out of the question for any of this stuff, because the violence and all the stuff that you're seeing, the deaths, it's all coming from the left. So most of the school shootings, probably all of them, are somebody on the left. You had 2 assassins against Trump coming from the left. And I don't know when people are going to wake up to who's fermenting this violence. It's all coming from the left.
Very true. Do you think we get to the bottom of the assassination with Bongino and Patel? There's just so many unanswered questions, and I think that, I just sense there is a lot of stuff bubbling up under the surface right now, and I think this leads me to my next question. You mentioned the semester test, okay? In your mind, is there a date in your mind that, because, in baseball, I watched the movie Moneyball. It's one of my favorite baseball movies, and I remember the A's were really bad before Billy Beane turned the program around in 2002, and he was telling his owner, they were sucking. I mean, they were like 15 games under 500, and the owner was asking him, how's the team doing, and he was one of these out-of-touch owners, and he said, well, the sample size is just too small. Give us 3 months. We'll know more by the summer. In Tony Branco's mind, what is the date or what month this year? Are we to give this a year? Are we to give it maybe till the fall? But when do we give the semester test for this administration on some of these things in the Department of Justice to see where it's going to go or not?
That's a very good question. Excuse me. I think we have to keep in mind we have an election coming up, 26, and they start running right around
January.
Fall?
Pretty much January.
January.
Yeah.
Some things have to happen before that, and we have to show results. And in January, February, it has to be overwhelming that it was a good choice to vote for Trump. And I think that's where the results have to pile up right before that and into next spring. And if Trump can keep up this momentum, and we can start seeing arrests and start seeing. They're already coming out with things. I was just noticing Bongino and Cash are already revealing some things, and some things are coming out. And I think as long as our base can see results like that, because we know they're there, and the economy continues to improve, and I think we're set up really well for the 26th election as far as getting a larger spread of Republicans, conservatives in there. That's just my personal opinion on that.
That's a good point.
The thing is that a lot of voters that voted for Trump, they voted for Trump and then they go back to work and they kind of just lay low for a little bit and they don't really pay a lot of attention. Now, I'm not talking about all of them, but there are quite a few, and we need to get people need to stay fired up. The election of Trump was just the beginning. We have a fight on our hands, and I want to stress that to people, that the fight is just starting. We've got to stay in the game, or we're going to, or the Democrats are going to either cheat, steal, whatever they have to do to win the next election so they can impeach him, and they will impeach him.
All right, buddy, that's what I've been screaming since January the 20th, that these Democrats, they are so mad right now. And look, I think they go scorched earth. If they get back in power, Tony, God help this country. I'm telling you, it's going to be the ugliest thing we've ever seen. If we think the first time around was ugly, can you imagine Jasmine Crockett being in charge of the Oversight Committee, or somebody like AOC and being in charge of the Judiciary Committee of the Senate? I mean, can you imagine people like that? Adam Schiff, I mean, and again, I think you've got a point that if whatever happens don't happen by January, I think we just got too much of an impatient electorate, and it's just human nature. We don't enjoy prosperity as Americans. We can't enjoy it. We have to find something to complain about. We have to find something to be suspicious about. We have to find something to make ourselves relevant. So we put crap out there on the internet, and it gets people questioning whether they voted right for Trump. And then we wind back up in this cycle, and we put the same people back in power that we just threw out of office for basically the destruction of the United States of America.
Absolutely. It will be lawfare on steroids if they get back in power. Now, one of the advantages we have, like you just said earlier, CNN has no viewership anymore, and podcasts and different things are growing every day. So we do have some form of communication to the voters that are listening and paying attention. So that we do have going for us. But all hell will break loose if the Democrats ever find power. And look, they're looking for a little nugget, just a tiny little nugget.
Anything.
Where they can rest their entire campaign.
Come on.
And if he has to suspend habeas corpus, walk out. He's a dictator. He's Hitler. But I don't think people are buying it. They're just not buying any of it. Any of the rhetoric comes from the left right now.
They're not. One quick thing. Speaking of lawfare, I've got your Tish James cartoon. You are absolutely the best, man. I'm just telling you. You are the best, man. If I put it like this, when I die and I'm asked, well, who do you want to draw your picture for your funeral? Go get Tony Branco, put a cartoon up on my casket because he's going to do the cartoon for the demise of McDonald. But this cartoon, get Trump, I love New York, and then the boomerang. I won't use the letters that's on the boomerang, but I love Virginia. I think Tish is going to have some problems, man. I got a feeling that she is not sleeping well at night from what I hear. And she has sort of been shaken by the fact that this very same thing she charged Trump with is about to be hung around her own neck, is it not?
Absolutely. What is that? F-O?
F-A-F-O, yes.
F-A, and then on the one boomerang it says F-A, and on the other boomerang coming back at her says F-O.
Yep.
So she did. She messed around and found out.
She messed around and found out. Yes, she did. Good stuff. Hey, I do want to ask you a quick question. Middle East, some overseas. What's your thoughts on this ceasefire with Hamas and Iran? The situation with Iran. I don't know how close you've been following it. Are you confident Trump is working in good faith with the Iranians? I don't trust the Iranians. I don't trust these mullahs. I know Trump is trying to exhaust every possible negotiating tool he can, Tony, to make sure we don't jump into something quickly. But in Israel's place, I know Israel's trying to be patient too, but it's got to be concerning to be dealing with people that want to destroy you and been telling you that for years, and then they're trying to get a nuke bomb to do it. And you're being told by the United States, just hang on, we're trying to negotiate something with him. Because, you see, I hear some of the same rhetoric, I hate to say it, that Obama used when they dropped $150 billion on the tarmac, and all Iran did, they didn't stop enriching uranium. They just took that money and started financing terror with it. And I know the difference in leadership. Trump will do something about it. But, see, I'm afraid that you give them, the more time we give these mullahs to keep putting us off another 4 months or 3 months or 2 months, they're building up this arsenal, and before we know it, man, we're going to wake up with a nuclearized Iran, and game over, brother. Game over.
Yeah, I can definitely see Israel's perspective, Netanyahu's perspective, because they need to be stopped. And I don't know any other way of stopping than just to bomb the hell out of their nuclear facilities that are enriching this thing. That's my personal thing. Now, looking at it from Trump and looking at the world view, the geopolitical, war plans and all that, I'm hearing a lot that if they do that, it will start World War III mega. I mean, you have Russia, China coming in behind Iran. It'll cause a wider war, a wide World War III type situation. And I think Trump is trying to avoid that. It's one thing to, blow up the Houthis or whatever and send them packing, but it's another thing when you're going after the Persians or Iran, because they're not going to be like Iraq. Iraq was small compared to Iran.
That's true. That's true.
And they didn't have as many friends as Iran does. And Russia and China are kind of on the side of Iran. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm hoping that they can find it. But I do know one thing. There has to be a tool of verification. And if they go away from that tool, blow the thing up. Take a chance. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We'll have to take our chances.
Are you shocked at the vile, and I mean vile, anti-Semitism that has been, it seems, resurrected from the 1930s in our country? And I'm not just talking about some punk kid on drugs on campus that smokes weed and don't have a brain and probably stays at his mama's basement and holding a sign that says F the Jews. I'm talking about major podcasters, social media giants, religious voices, and people with millions of followers, Tony, that have been absolutely vile in their attacks on Israel and the Jews, basically accusing Israel of genocide. And, the Israelis and the American government just this week brought food over to the Gazans, to the people. And the Gazan people are beginning to catch on to the joke, and it's not a joke, but to the truth that Hamas has been stealing the food. And Cindy McCain should be ashamed of herself, which her husband and her legacy and her are all full of bullshit anyway. But basically to tell the independent newspaper and tell CBS over the weekend that Israel was lying, that Hamas was impeding them from getting the food to the people. And then, my God, we find out just today that Gazans stormed a warehouse and found tons of food that Hamas had been housing in these warehouses, keeping it from the people, but keeping it for themselves. And then you have these anti-Semites that do not ever condemn Hamas for October the 7th. But everything they do is say Israel is bulldozing Gaza and killing innocent children. That's all I hear. And I think it's the most disgusting thing. And when people, and I'm going to use one name, I am shocked. Now, let me change that. I'm not shocked. I am disgusted at Candace Owens and some of the vile anti-Semitic remarks that she has made publicly about Israel. I think it's disgusting. She has shamed herself. And it's not like I was a big fan of hers anyway, but I have lost all respect for people like her. I've lost all respect for other voices, and they need to do a history lesson. And it don't have to be a long history lesson, Tony. It wasn't Israel that was burning babies, raping women, beheading men, and burning homes, and basically terrorizing thousands, killing 1,200. Injuring nearly 3,000, kidnapping 300 people, and most of those are not going to ever see they're dead. And you still got people in hostage way that they've not released in over 2.5 years. For God's sake, that's the history. That's the only thing you need to know tonight is who the aggressor was and is.
Absolutely, I think they're being incited. All these podcasters and that they're being incited, and they're very ignorant to the history, like you just mentioned. And not just the recent history. You can go back 2,000 years. You can go back to the Roman Empire. Much of what is Israel right now, the people that call themselves Palestinians weren't even in the area.
They were not.
They were in Jordan. They were in Egypt. They were in different places. They only congealed there once Israel, the Jewish people, took the country, and there may have been a few, but no, it's just, again, it all fits in with this globalist, any anti-American, anti-West. It's all about that. It's about bringing down the West, and I think that there are a lot of people that are just ignorant to that. They're just ignorant to it. They don't understand it. And they've just taken side. It's like they're kind of like a herd. Okay, all these people are going this way. I'm going to join them. And then they try to fit their views into whatever that herd is saying at the moment. And that herd is growing exponentially. And it's kind of scary. I'm kind of scared for the Jews in this country. We need to stop it, and partly what Trump is trying to do with Harvard, it isn't all he's doing, and it isn't the only reason he's doing with Harvard, but part of the reason is that the anti-Semitism that's coming from these people, from our own news sources, And you're right. I'm surprised with Candace Owens. A lot of things I have agreed with her on, but there are quite a few things I have to separate myself, like the moon landing and
I know.
different things.
I know. But again, Tony, you think about what you just said. A lot of these voices like that, they have lost their natural-born cotton-picking minds. They have just they talk like crazy people. They talk like somebody that you would visit in an insane asylum, and like it would be somebody like telling you there's a little green man outside my window every night, and they're sending me cotton candy and sending me lifesavers through the food, you know. And you look at them and say, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I'm sure that they are, you know. You placate them, you don't want to be rude to them. And then you listen to these podcasters that are supposed to be smarter than all of us and saying this kind of crap, and you just want to know what freaking mental institution did you escape from, or are you on spiritual meth? Are you on meth? And I just shake my head at it, man. I do.
You're right. It's evil. Conservatives take reality and apply it to their perspective. It's the other way around with Democrats. They take their perspective, they try to bend reality into what they already want to believe, as opposed to looking at reality and then adjusting their perspective. And that's part of the problem. Again, it's all congealing into this anti-West, anti-Trump, anti-MAGA. And so they're not making any sense, because a lot of what we believe is based on common sense and reality. We look at the real world. We look at the way things are. How can we fix things? And Trump has been in reality his entire life. He had to be, in order to get these buildings and his business become a multi-billionaire. He had to do these things. He had to be grounded in reality, looking at issues, looking at problems. Whereas you have the Democrats who've always looked at a problem as a way to run on it, not fix it, but to and bolster their campaign and get funding for their campaign, and not fix anything. And that's, I'm kind of rambling, but
no, I get it. I get it, buddy. Look, I definitely get it, and it's just a crazy time we're living in, man. It's just a crazy time we're living in. That's why we got Tony Branco to keep us laughing at comicallycorrect.com, because without Tony Branco, I'd be in that insane asylum and you'd be visiting me, and I'd say, hey, Branco, I've got little green men running around my room here. Can you help me? Can you help me, man? Can you help me? You know, because that's why we got you, man, to keep us laughing. Man, it's been such a great show tonight, and I'm going to get this hard copy to you for your website, comicallyincorrect.com, folks. I encourage you to visit Tony there. He's got a couple of books that he's got some of these great cartoons of his past, and the absolute best, though, you got to look for it, is the Dumb Foolery. That's what I was looking for tonight. The Dumb Foolery cartoon that he did. We got to update that. I got to give you a 2025 saying, don't I? I need to do that. But no, listen, man, good stuff. I'm going to give you 1 minute final thoughts. Tell everybody what you're doing these days. And, man, it's so good to see you tonight. And we're going to get you back on in a few weeks, and we'll Zoom with you and see your face. And it's been a pleasure. Cannot tell you how great this has been tonight. Super, super job.
It's been a lot of fun. They can find me at Comically Incorrect. They can also find me on Twitter and Truth Social, Facebook. Twitter is AF Branco, just at AF Branco, and same with Truth Social. They're going to hit on my website, Comically Incorrect. And that's about all.
All right, buddy. Hey, man, stay in touch. Have a great weekend. Thank you for your insight, and I'll see you in a few weeks, okay? God bless, friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, Tony. God bless. Good night now. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that. Oh, Lord have mercy. We have some of the best guests on this. I know we're not the biggest podcast out there, but we have the most fun. We have fun here. And we have guests like Tony Branco, Brad Johnson, Eric Herring, James Akers, and Elvis Presley. Brad's, no, we don't have Elvis, even though we think Elvis is behind Brad's garage up there. We just have a good time here. We have a good time. I think that's why we've survived 7.5 years on the air, and but we're having a ball. That's a good show tonight. Look, Tony made some excellent points, and we encourage you to share this out with your friends and so forth. And we hope you enjoyed him tonight. I've got just a few videos, a few things to say, and we're going to be out of here. I hadn't even played my look. I should have been doing this tonight. That's what I thought.
Elementary, Matty Watson.
It's going to be the cartoon I'm going to get him to do for me. It's elementary. No, I just figured it out. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I think Jenny Castanova's out there. That is the light bulb just went off. That's the next cartoon I'm going to get him to draw. I'd like to see this one. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I think that we need to do that. And can I draw something for you in crayon? Okay. I'm sure Tony will jump right on that one. This is Caroline Leavitt today in the White House. Oh, by the way, I want to show you this. This is for all the anti-Semites out there that claim Israel is stealing the food or Israel's lying about what Hamas is doing with the food, and Israel's starving the people of Gaza and starving the kids and killing the kids with starvation. Roll the tape.
ياجوج وماجوج ياجوج وماجوج ماتوا من الجوع حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ياجوج وماجوج حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل على كان السبب حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل زحام للبرد فضوا كله ومالش حاجه.
You don't see the other video we've got of this. We didn't download it, but we had it on the radio today. The Gazan residents, you know what they were shouting today while they were doing that? Trump! Go Trump! Thank you, Trump! Thank you, America! They were screaming America, America. Screaming Trump! Thank you, Trump! You know why they're thanking Trump tonight? They should be thanking Bibi Netanyahu too. Because Bibi's the one bringing in the food. Bibi's been bringing the food all along, folks. Israel's literally fed, I saw Phil Robertson, the Duck Dynasty guy, and we forgot to mention him Tuesday night. It's sad. He died over the weekend, 79, and we played a clip on the radio show, I guess it was Tuesday, and he was talking about Romans 12:10 about feeding your enemy. You know, if your enemy hunger, feed him. And if you don't believe Israel is doing that tonight, folks, they are sending food to the people that executed one of the most horrendous terrorist attacks on them in modern history. 1,200 people dead. That would have been like 300,000 of our citizens over here. 30 to 40, not 300,000, about 30 to 50,000 of our citizens being slaughtered. If you look at the ratio of 1,200 to their population compared to our population, you put that percentage together, 30 to 40,000 people. Israel's done nothing but try to help the people of Gaza. Their target has been Hamas, the perpetrators of this, who want Israel to cease fire. And they want Israel not to say we're at war with you without returning hostages. Let me tell you something. You don't come burn somebody's house down and then say, hey, can I come to dinner tomorrow night and let's let bygones be bygones. It just don't work that way. Israel has done everything it can, and Cindy McCain and these vile people, and some of them are church folks, claiming that Israel is causing a genocide in Gaza and starving the Gazan people to death. They are the vilest of the vile. To me, I have more respect for Hamas than I do people like Cindy McCain and others that are doing this kind of stuff and saying it. And it was proven this week, with the help of the United States, that Hamas has been basically warehousing this food, not giving it to the people, and then blaming Israel and telling everybody Israel's starving the Gazan people to death. They're not feeding us over here. That because of what Israel's doing, the people are not being able to be fed. That's how demonic a force that Trump is dealing with, folks, and that's why you better pray for him, because he's dancing with the devil. And Bibi has got to deal with Hamas. It's the same group. The Iranians, the mullahs, it's the same mentality. They lie through their teeth, and then they tell us, on one hand, we don't want to enrich uranium. We're not going to enrich uranium. Give us money. Give us. Take the sanctions off of us. Give us this. Give us this concession. This latest deal that Witkoff put together would have a 60-day peace initiative with 9 hostages of Israel being released in exchange for 200 other Hamas criminals. It's always disproportionate with the hostage exchanges. We get 3 people, they get 1,000. I mean, it's how it's always been with the Middle East, always with Israel. But I have no respect. I have more respect for the blood of a dead dog on a hot summer day than I do for these vile anti-Semitic voices that are saying things of this nature. They are lying. It is demonic lies. It is slander. It is blood libel. And it is beyond disgraceful that church people share it on timelines and in telegram rooms and put it out there as fact. It's not good. Not good. This is Caroline Levitt today on the Gaza situation. A reporter tried to get snarky with her about Trump's efforts to help the Gazans. Roll the tape.
This administration has been briefed about the incident that happened in Gaza on Tuesday during the rollout of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution of aid to Palestinians there. And should there be a ceasefire, will this administration continue to rely on this foundation for the distribution of aid to civilians?
Are you referring, what incident are you referring to?
On Tuesday,
when the aid was rolled out to Gaza for the first time in many months, and meals and food was given to hungry people, thanks to President Trump. Yes, we were briefed on that plan. The president was the reason that aid went into Gaza, and he got the Israelis to support that plan. And I would add that the previous administration rejected such a plan to ensure that these starving and devastated people in the Gaza Strip were given humanitarian aid and assistance. And it was the previous administration that tried to build this pier, if you all remember it. It was brought to my attention this morning, and I thought, that's a good point. Why don't I bring that up? Because there's been so much criticism. In fact, it was on the front page of a newspaper this morning about the criticism for this president having a humanitarian heart and giving people badly needed food and supplies. Nobody wanted to talk about how the previous administration failed in that endeavor. They built this pier that cost $230 million. It lasted about 20 days, and more than 60 U.S. service members were injured, as a part of this floating aid pier that did nothing for the people of Gaza. The president is opening up his humanitarian heart to get aid into the region, while his team simultaneously negotiates a ceasefire and the return of all hostages. We are moving the ball forward in a positive direction for all people. The president wants to see peace for all people.
I'm with him seeing peace for all people. But I'm also seeing Israel protected from something like this happening again, which may be impossible. Which may be impossible dealing with the players they're dealing with. And the only thing I disagree a little bit with Caroline Levitt in there, it's not just President Trump. And I appreciate what President Trump has done this week, folks. It's monumental. And it's monumental that because of the efforts of our nation along with Israel, but Bibi Netanyahu is not getting the credit that he deserves tonight for doing the same thing. They've been sending food over there. And I just showed you the video, Nate. That warehouse just didn't get filled this week. That warehouse has been being stockpiled for months by these Hamas terrorists, being hid from the Gazan people. And the Gazan people are catching on. Some of them are. Some of them are. This is Gil Gadot. This is an actress in Hollywood that these are the kind of folks that we're dealing with. They had to shut her movie down in London just today. This is David Harris Jr., good guy. I met David at the National Religious Broadcasters event 2 years ago. But 5 pro-Hamas activists have been arrested for repeatedly disrupting the filming of her upcoming thriller film, The Runner. These protesters who had been targeting the actress because she is Israeli were arrested and charged under workplace obstruction laws. She can't even work because of the people that are trying to destroy her. Not because she's a bad actress or anything she's done, but the same reason those 2 kids got slaughtered in cold blood outside a Washington, D.C. Museum last week because they were Jewish. Because they were Jewish. This is, I got to show you this. I'll just show you this. I'll let this video do the talking. I ain't going to say a word, but look at the caption. Those are pro-Hamas protesters. Wasn't Afghanistan. That was Ireland. Europe. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, London. Bye-bye, England. Bye-bye, Scotland. Bye-bye, Ireland. Bye-bye, France. By the way, Emmanuel, just a word to the wise. If your wife is slapping you, maybe she may be mad at you. You know a woman's mad at you when her face is against your... I had to throw that in. I'm sorry. That was probably a cheap shot. That was a cheap shot. But I had to throw that in. A couple of memes tonight. We got a lot of video to play maybe tomorrow night if we're on. I'm not sure we're going to be on tomorrow night. But if we are, we'll do it then. If not, we'll do it next week. The world's still be crazy next week. But I want to remind you, dear Americans, listen to me tonight. Please stop referring to members of the Senate and House as our leaders. They're not. We do not answer to them. They are merely our representatives. Sorry. We redneck Southerners, we can't read sometimes. They are our representatives. And they should be reminded of that fact often. They should be reminded of that fact often. That's well said there. Another interesting little thing I found, and if you think that this judicial tyranny is new, it's not. This was a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to Spencer Rowan back in 1819. It's interesting that the courts and what they've been doing is not new. I know we may think it's new. We may think it's something that they just started doing because it's Trump. The Constitution, Jefferson said, is a mere thing of wax in the hands of the judiciary, which they may twist and shape into any form they please. And the judicial branch has never been intended to run the country, but it has tried to run the country at times throughout our history, and it is trying to run the country tonight. I don't have an answer how it can be stopped. Congress has a role to play in this, but they're not going to do it. I hate to tell you, a lot of these congressional Republicans are rooting secretly behind the scenes that these judicial courts stop Trump so they don't have to. And that's just the facts. And that is just where we're at right now and so forth. I do want to say that I appreciate what Elon Musk has done for the country. And he has been he's done a great job trying to find this fraud and so forth. We talked about this story on radio, and actually, I'm going to play this. This is Andrew Fox on Gaza. Roll the tape. I'll let you listen to this. We're going to do a few more things and wrap it up. If you got a question, go ahead and put it in the house. We're about hour and 18 in. We're going to go about another 10 minutes. Listen to this video. Take your questions if you got them. Please keep it on topic, folks. Don't ask me some wild out there conspiracy crap question tonight. I love y'all, but keep it on topic of the country.
When you wrote this report, you must have found out so much about Hamas's modus operandi. Talk us through the approach to this from them, because we know about the use of human shields. We know about them stationing themselves in tunnels under hospitals. Expand on that a bit.
Yeah, of course. So the UN have put out 367 reports about Gaza since the start of the war. And only 4 of them mention this human shield strategy. So what we've tried to do with our reports is to be the missing chapter and actually discuss the other side of this, because to look at the world's reporting, you'd think Israel was just randomly throwing missiles into Gaza and hitting whoever they could. But there's been very intense fighting. The Israelis have had 3,000 casualties on the ground in Gaza. And Hamas have been absolutely explicit and open about the fact that they want their own people to die. And since my report's been released in the last week, we've seen leaders of Hamas in Qatar boasting about 50,000 deaths, saying that there have been 50,000 births, they can replace the dead, but the cause will continue. And they're leveraging their own people's blood to get a PR win against Israel. And it's insane.
It is insane. I want to play that again. Folks. There are people telling the truth about it. They're being marginalized. And I want to just say this about our chat room. I saw something a while ago, and I took it out. I'm just going to address it, but maybe I just need to remind folks, we don't be bringing anti-Semitism and anti-Jew stuff into this place. You're in the wrong dojo. You got an angst with Israel. There's plenty of anti-Semitic podcasts out there that hate Israel's guts and say all sorts of blood libel. You in the wrong dojo here. Because, you don't need to be bringing that stuff into here. I'll just leave it at that. Listen to Andrew Fox one more time. We'll take your questions. Dennis Floyd, I'll get to your question.
When you wrote this report, you must have found out so much about Hamas's modus operandi. Talk us through the approach to this from them, because we know about the use of human shields. We know about them stationing themselves in tunnels under hospitals. Expand on that bit.
Yeah, of course. So the UN have put out 367 reports about Gaza since the start of the war. And only 4 of them mention this human shield strategy. So what we've tried to do with our reports is to be the missing chapter and actually discuss the other side of this, because to look at the world's reporting, you'd think Israel was just randomly throwing missiles into Gaza and hitting whoever they could. But there's been very intense fighting. The Israelis have had 3,000 casualties on the ground in Gaza. And Hamas have been absolutely explicit and open about the fact that they want their own people to die. And since my report's been released in the last week, we've seen leaders of Hamas in Qatar boasting about 50,000 deaths, saying that there have been 50,000 births, they can replace the dead, but the cause will continue. And they're leveraging their own people's blood to get a PR win against Israel. And it's insane.
It is insane. It is insane. We've got a breaking story tonight, folks. I don't know if you've heard about it. Bernard Carrick, that was a big player in the 9/11 time under Rudy Giuliani. He was the police chief, former police chief in New York, passed away tonight. He was 69, hospitalized in the cardiac unit of a hospital. And Director Kash Patel has just posted on X tonight that they mourn the loss of Bernard Carrick, a warrior, patriot, and one of the most courageous public servants this country has ever known. He passed away after a private battle with illness, with over 40 years of service in law enforcement and national security. He dedicated his life to protecting the American people. He was the 40th Police Commissioner of New York City, who led with strength, resolve, in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, guiding the New York PD through one of the darkest chapters in our nation's history. He did, and they went after him. Sadly, the left did, and he had just posted a story in August of 22 that if the FBI raid does not stop Donald Trump, their next step will be assassination. He predicted it, and that's exactly what they tried to do. Rest in peace, Bernie Carrick. He was a good man, even though the left tried to villainize him. And they went after him, and it's sad what they did to him. It's what they said. It's sad what they've done to Giuliani, and there needs to be retribution for this. Listen, Dennis, your question: have I heard that Lindsey Graham has been arrested? No, I've not. I don't think there's any truth to that. I don't know where you've heard that on the news. If you've got a link, please feel free to send it to me, and I'll check into it. But I have not heard anything about that remotely at all. And so forth. But let me see here. Liz Goldman says, won't be too long till CNN will start losing advertisers. Liz, they already are. They already are. They already are, actually. Renee, that question is going to get you booted out. There is no difference between the true Jews and the fake Karzakians. I hate to tell you, friend. I'm tired of hearing this stuff, and if you're listening to that kind of stuff, There's only Jews, folks. Jews from the line of Abraham. The QAnon people put that stuff out. And I just had gotten it out of my mouth. We don't traffic in that here. So, Renee, thank you. Enjoy the show, but I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. I do want to talk to, let's see who put that question. Stephen, do I think Hamas will accept this new deal? No, I don't. I think they'll accept it in name only. And I was reading on the radio today, we actually read the report out of World Israel News, and this is the caveat that Hamas is telling Israel. They're telling Israel, we're willing to accept a ceasefire only if you officially say that you're not at war with us anymore. And then on top of everything else, they're telling Israel, we'll give you 9 hostages, but we're not going to make you any promises on any other hostages until you say there's no more war. And the sanctions, they want all those lifted. Again, they want Israel out of the Gaza Strip. And my question to you all tonight is this. After what Hamas did to Israel on October the 7th of 2023, who in their right mind would allow the same group to run the Gaza Strip after what they did to you in October of 23 and somehow suspend reality and suspend belief that they would not do it again? I mean, seriously? So, as far as Hamas accepting it, though they're all for it. Because Wyckoff, I mean, look, I appreciate President Trump trying to bring peace to this region. If y'all were with us Tuesday night, one of the best interviews James Akers has ever given on this program, honestly. I'm telling you, he was on his game Tuesday night. And he said it. I've heard other people say it, but he, I think, codified it in a way that nobody really has done it in a more clear way. The United States, folks, and other nations of the West do not understand the dance of the Middle East. We do not understand who we're dealing with. I don't, even the best of the best of the best, like I love President Trump, it concerns me a little bit with him. And I don't think he's dumb. I know he's not dumb. It's not even, I don't believe that he's going to put Israel in harm's way in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And he's assured Bibi Netanyahu that he's told the mullahs, if this don't get fixed, we're going to blow the hell out of you, basically. You can't deal with the devil. You just can't deal with the devil. There's just some people you just can't deal with. I've learned that in life. I think some of you've learned that in life. There are some people that you got to forgive them. You got to walk in love toward them. But there's just some people you can't deal with. And it's best just to leave them alone and move on and let them move on. But in this case, look, folks, Israel's got 1,200 of its citizens dead that's never coming back. Israel has been affected in a way that they've not been affected since the Holocaust of 1939 with this terrorist attack. This is one of the worst terrorist attacks that we've seen on that soil in 80 years, almost 100 years. So now Hamas is telling Israel, you stop saying that we're at war with you. You put us back in power in the Middle East. You put us back in power over the Gaza Strip, and we'll walk our merry way and we'll have peace. That's a fool's errand to accept that if I'm Israel. Stephen, I think Hamas is already ready to accept it because they're getting their butts kicked right now. But if I'm Israel, until every last Hamas terrorist is gone off that Gaza Strip, there's no deal. I put it like this. I know some of you boxing fans will remember the infamous Roberto Duran fight of 1984, I believe, when he was getting his clock cleaned by somebody. And he held his hands up that night. He made the famous question, no mas, meaning no more. And I said today that until Hamas is no mas, I wouldn't be signing any ceasefire deal. Israel's willing to deal with the ceasefire for one reason, and that's those hostages. You see, this is the difference between Israel and the terrorists, and that the world does not understand this. or they either understand it and lie about it, or they just are deaf and on meth or whatever. You see, Israel is willing to stop fighting to save the life of 9 people. They're even willing to give Hamas 200 of their hostages back in a very uneven exchange, because 9 lives to Israel means more than 2,000 to Hamas. One life is more important to Israel and all civilized society than 2,000 terrorists are. Take your terrorists, give us our one life. And see, these terrorists know this. They know this. And they play this game, and they play us like a fiddle. And that's the Middle East, folks. That's the Middle East. If I'm Israel, we do not say that we're not at war with you anymore, because Israel is at war. But the thing is, Israel didn't start this war like the world claims it did. Hamas did this. It's all on Hamas. I heard Marco Rubio say it 3 months ago. Somebody was asking him the same crap question about, well, what about the death of the children in Gaza? And he said every death in Gaza that is child related or women related to child and they're dying, he said the blood of those people are on Hamas's hands. They're the ones that started this. Amen, Marco. Viva Marco. I'll say amen to that. And I don't want even the word Kazakian mentioned in my chat room, folks. I don't even want it mentioned. It is a myth. I don't want it mentioned. I don't care about it. It's nothing but vile anti-Semitism. It's rooted in anti-Semitic talk. It started with the Q nonsense. And I don't want that stuff in here. It's not coming in here. And you say you're a little terse about it, McDonald. It's my dojo. It's my dojo. I don't even want it mentioned. It is nothing but demonic lies. People are writing books about it. They write books about it. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Stephen, I hope that answered your question. Buddy. Let's see what else we got. Anything in Facebook? Good to see Corey Aguilar tonight. Joanna, Jenny, good to see you. Dennis, I haven't heard anything about Lindsey Graham. That's an interesting thing. Any other questions? Mark, you're right. It's the religious battle that's been going on for years, brother. It's a religious battle. It's a spiritual battle. Rosemary says that sometimes they are enemies too. And Rosemary, that is something I think that we forget. Israel's enemies are our enemies. The West don't understand that. There's many in the West that don't. There's many Americans that don't. They think this is just an isolated little regional thing and it's no big deal. Though this spirit of Islam and this spirit of what's going on in the Middle East tonight, folks, these people that want Israel in the Mediterranean Sea, let me tell you something. They want America off the map too. They've always wanted America off the map. We just don't get it. We're dense over here. And as James Akers beautifully said Tuesday night, we do not understand the people we're dancing with. And we've never understood it. There ain't a president yet that's understood it. And there won't be a president that will. The only people that have come close to understanding it is Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan a little bit. But Reagan was so full of deep state people during his time that the James Bakers and the George Schultzes and George H.W. Bush Jr., who was his vice president at the time, were secretly behind the scenes putting stuff in Reagan's head to betray Israel then. But Trump has been the only really true pro-American president we've had. Harry Truman deserves a lot of credit. He was a Democrat of all things. It took courage to put the weight of the American presidency and put the weight of the American government behind that declaration on May the 14th of 1948. And when Israel was declared and reformed as a nation, look, without the United States doing that, it wouldn't have happened. And I believe it was the divine hand of God squeezing Harry Truman's heart to do it. And he lost half of his cabinet. Half of his cabinet resigned over it. Harry said, don't let the door kick you in the butt. I don't salute many Democrats on this show, but I salute that one. I like Harry Truman. As he said, the buck stops here. The buck stops here. And when it comes to the McFiles, the buck stops here. Good to see Jason Miller in the house tonight. Julie says, I feel like we're at a standstill waiting for something big to happen. Julie, you know, I have to tell you, I think there's some truth to that. I think that there is, I was telling Tony, there is something bubbling under the surface on a lot of fronts tonight. There is. There's a lot of things bubbling. I was curious what Tony would say about the question about how long are we going to wait. I think that my measuring stick was July 4th. I may be giving it a little bit too soon to tell. You know, I may push that back to Labor Day. I don't know. We're at the end of May. Trump's been in office now roughly 4 months and about 2 weeks. 4 weeks and a week, 4 months and a week. I feel the same. I don't know how big what is coming is going to be. I know there's a lot of talk. I heard Bongino and Patel. Patel was very upset with the 8647 thing. All these copycats. He said there's been an increase, an uptick in threats against President Trump because of what Comey did. Whether anything's done to Comey remains to be seen. I think there's something bigger coming down the pike. I think that I think the reason you see all this happening so fast is that he knows what Tony Branco said tonight is true. He's got till January. Everybody goes into campaign mode in January. And he's depending on a feckless Congress to help him. I don't have a lot of faith in them. And I think the Supreme Court, it's a 50-50 flip of the coin whether they're going to do the right thing on these court cases. Honestly, I do. I think it's a 50-50 shot. There'll be some things that they may side with him on. There'll be other things they won't. And I guess the things that they don't side with him on, he's going to have to go back and redo and try another way. That goes back to what Congress needs to be doing, is codifying these executive orders and codifying these things into law. That's a lot harder to strike down than just an executive order. And I think I'm with you. Good to see you, Mark Kaysen. Good to see you, buddy. It is a spiritual battle, brother. It is a spiritual battle. Liz, roughly close to 100, I believe, as far as the hostage count. That's the ones we know about. Many of them are dead. I was reading one report that there are 300 bodies that Israel has not recovered that are confirmed dead, that Hamas has basically told them that they killed in captivity. It was a huge number. I'll go back and find that story. We may have put it on the Telegram room. I think I know there's dozens. I mean, I'm guessing around 100, maybe 50 to 100 still. And I mean, look, Israel is in a no-win. And again, they're willing to stop fighting for 60 days to get 9 people out. But BB is basically saying, too, we're not going to stop blowing the you-know-what out of you until we get all of our people back, until you're gone, and until Hamas is eradicated. And I don't see him being wrong in that. I don't have no problem with that whatsoever. And you know something? No true, reasonably minded person should have a problem with that either. The only people that don't like that are the people that hate Israel and are anti-Semitic. And anyway, great show tonight, Tim Neal Sr. Thank you, buddy. It's been a good one. Mary Cleveland says the Middle East conflict is akin to the Hatfields and the McCoys, and the world has been dragged into the feud and has decided to take sides. Mary, I'm going to tell you something. It's not the Hatfield and the McCoys. This is a spiritual battle. This ain't some spat. This is for, look, Israel would live at peace with its neighbors if its neighbors would live in peace with Israel. None of these wars, Mary, none of them, that Israel has fought since she's been in existence, you can say that she started. Israel's not started this war. The Hatfields and the McCoys, they were wanting each other destroyed. Israel just wants to live in peace. And I challenge anybody out there, go find a war that Israel was the initiator of the war. Please bring it to me. I'll come on here and I'll share that war with you. You can't do it. So it's not a Hatfield and McCoy. It's not akin to it. Not even close. You've got a sovereign nation that was reformed in 1948 with an ocean of hate around her, and really a whole world of hate around her that don't want to see her in existence. There are spiritual reasons. Mark Casson's point is taken tonight. There are spiritual reasons why they don't want to see Israel exist. It's called the devil. Because the world hates Christ, and Israel has rejected and hates Christ too, sadly, right now. They will not hate him forever. But the world's hatred for Israel is tied to their hatred for the one that came from her, and that is Christ. And Israel don't understand that right now. One day she will. Sadly, at a point that she's almost destroyed. We'll talk about that in the morning on the Friday morning Bible study, which we encourage you all to come be with us and participate in. Did you enjoy the show tonight? I got a lot more to talk about, but I think I'm done. Carol Smith says, you think people's frustration is because they feel that they've been wanting since Trump's first election, waiting for justice. Carol, that's an excellent point. And yeah, I do. I do. But Tony just repeated something that I had said really probably 3 or 4 months ago. And, you know, he basically said we don't want them to rush into something half-cocked. Just throw a case out there. Just go before court, have somebody hauled into the courtroom and then walk right back out because they didn't really get the case right, because they were being pushed to get something done quickly. And I don't want to see that. I don't care how long it takes. I think that there's two things working here. I think your point is a excellent stated point. People have been wanting justice. And Carol, I might as well say this, a lot of this thirst for justice is not thirst, it's really for revenge. And we've got to be very careful. I'm not saying you believe that, I'm just saying the country at large. There's an element in it, it's not about justice to them. They are just wanting an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. They did it to us, we do it to them. And that is not going to get us anywhere. But I do believe that if people are not held accountable for their actions, this same group that's done it, have done it once, they will turn right around and do it again. It's like I heard Jesse Walters tonight. It's like a 16-time convicted felon standing before a judge and saying, let me out on parole. I promise, Your Honor, I will not go out and rob that bank again after he's robbed it 16 times in a row. And that's what the left is trying to convince us tonight, that Trump is this evil dictator because he's trying to go after people that have robbed America 16 times in a row. And they're telling us, we won't do it again if you'll just put us back in office and they won't mess with us and don't throw us in jail. We promise we won't do this. And it's like Letitia James is saying tonight, that she's being persecuted because she's a black woman. And this is Trump's revenge on her because I've never, ever stated that I wanted to see Trump put in prison. And my God, there's like 100 videos out there with her basically telling everybody that's why she ran for office. I have to blame the Q people for some of this, because that was Q's calling card. for 8 years. Justice is coming, justice is coming, justice is coming, justice is coming. And when it didn't come the first term, they doubled down. They doubled down. Many people, Carol was so crazy, they thought justice had come. They were claiming people were in Gitmo. They were acting like Barack Obama. The people we were seeing walking around us were clones. But the real Barack Obama's in a jail and he's in a Gitmo hanging cell. I mean, you're hearing this crap like the Pope was already executed, Jimmy Carter was already dead, Bush Sr. was already hung and executed. And again, folks, this is what makes that world out there laugh, the conservatives. It makes them mock people of faith that believe in this stuff. It makes them mock us. And we've got to start using our brains and being soberly minded. And Carol, your point is it's excellent. Your point is square on. But the pretense of what you're saying is what drives us to do stupid things. And we don't need to be stupid. We need to be smart. We need to be smart and patient and make sure if we're going after somebody, they've actually committed a crime worthy of charging them, not just so we can get a headline on X that somebody's going to prison. I still see it. I still see some of this in the Twitter handles and the Twitter posts. And folks, these opinions are mine. I know some of you are just shaking with delirium and not agreeing with this and freaking out. Freak out. This is the McFiles. This is the Chris Files. Chris can say what he wants to do his own show. In fact, I'll just say it again that it's just elementary, my dear Watson, to me. These opinions are mine. But we don't need revenge. It's not about revenge. True justice is going to be something that's going to have to be handled right. And when it's done right, I'm all for justice. And I think one of the things that needs to be done is have these judges cleared out and this two-tier justice system taken down to where if it's a Democrat standing before a federal judge, he gets the same treatment as if it's a conservative standing before a federal judge. That, to me, is a much more bigger issue that needs to be addressed in this country. I'll amen myself. Amen. Brenda, you say you used to watch your program all the time. Well, I'm glad you're back on here tonight. I'm glad you're back. Lena says, I'm happy to hear you say this. Lena, I'm happy to hear myself say it too. Because Chris does get it right every now and then. Chris gets it right.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Chris is having a blast. I've never had so much fun in my life. That's what I think separates us from all these other shows out there. We just have fun here. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We just let it all hang out. Have some of the best guests. We got the best group of guests, I think, in the entire world on this network. Because we just down-to-earth folks here. We may be a little redneckish. But we're fun redneckish.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Do you understand, Jeannie Castellanova, the words that are coming out of my mouth? Listen, be with me in the morning on the face side. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Hopefully, maybe. I'm going to try to come on tomorrow night for a little bit. Listen, I love you guys. It'd be maybe earlier. Listen, God bless you. God bless this great country of America. God bless all of you. And we will see you back here tomorrow to do this all again. And pray for your country, folks. Pray for President Trump. If you run out of people to pray for this redneck host, okay? He can use the prayers and you can use the practice, all right? Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.